Hello there everyone, it's CG Inferno and I am here with my first game review of 2025. Today's game will be Dynasty Warriors Origins, so I want to say thank you for Koei for sending this. Basically in this review I'm going to go over the story a bit, gameplay, and what I said could be added in to like make the game a bit more better and stuff, and my final thoughts. So it won't be too long, or I'll try not to ramble too long, but yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the story of Dynasty Warriors Origins is basically about three kingdoms, which I guess most people should know when playing these games. But in this one, you play as a wanderer. Now, I won't really say his name for spoiler reasons, but essentially play as him. You go through town to town, basically trying to like, earn money as like a little mercenary, more or less. You do come across a few of the notable names that you meet throughout the three kingdoms. And then eventually you join up with them to basically go up against the Yellow Turbans, which is like essentially like the first chapter of the game. And then from then on, you start to build relationships with them, and then eventually you get to a point where you need to choose which faction you want to do. So there's three of them. Each of them obviously have their own different missions. Some of them kind of coincide with like other routes as well sometimes. So you'll see like certain characters from a different faction later down the line, all doing this while trying to regain your memories, because essentially you do not remember your past as something more or less happened, but during the story you will start to try and remember your past. This is done through a side quest of a character that you meet during down the game as well. For that part, I actually enjoyed it. You know, it's a pretty nice story, nice background to the character and everything, and like what happened. It's not needed per se, but I think when you're playing the game you should do it. It's really not hard to do. It's literally just say go and find this item, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, in terms of story itself, I enjoyed it for the most part, and I pretty much know how the three kingdoms go. They might have their twists and turns here and there, but you kind of know what you're getting into. Now in terms of how long it took, my first run took me about 20 hours to do, and that's with me doing all the side questing, farming up my levels for like my proficiency levels for my weapons, doing the training for like the stuff you get from like different soldiers and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty long. I think they did say it'll be like around 20 hours as well. If you're just gonna gun straight for the story, it'll probably cut it down by like 10 hours at least anyway. The side questing in the game is pretty straightforward. Literally you'll see them on the map, or they'll appear anyway, and these are just like extra missions that you can do. Which you can gain some benefits from them as well, some levels and all that. You don't really need to do them, but me, I think it's gotten to the point when I play these types of games, just like I see them, I say I need to do it. You know, I just don't want to see anything on my map, more or less. You also have skirmishes, so these are just like, I guess I wouldn't really say side missions per se, but they're just like miniature battles. Say, oh, go and defeat this amount of enemies, or go and do this and go and do that. You know, so those missions I usually do just to like do the training that you get from the officers and stuff. So that is pretty nice. But at the same time, it did kind of get repetitive near the end, to the point I was just like, do I really need to do these right now? So at some point I just stopped. But then you also have bonds. So bonds is like, you know what you're getting into. Essentially, these are just like ways to know the officers a bit more, get to know their background, their story and everything. So think of it as like, there's like no love bonds per se, I would say, although like some of them kind of hint there. I remember there was one that was doing it, and then I found out she had a husband. I was like, fucking hell, man. I was hurt, but you know, they're quite interesting for the most part. Some of them not too much, but others, you know, they are kind of getting kind of interesting. So there's quite a bit of them for them as well. You have them for the three factions, and you also have like for other characters that you meet throughout the game as well. So there is quite a bit of stuff to do. But at the same time, if you don't really want to do them, you don't have to, but they are there. One good thing about it is that like you can always watch them back later on. So if you kind of just want to go through the game quick, you can always skip them and then just watch them like in one go later down the line. But yeah, map sizes as well for the game is pretty standard in terms of like battle maps and stuff. As for the world map, it's not big at all. It's literally like one little character. You can ride on your horse on the world map as well, and you just go about from place to place. You have waypoints as well. So it's nothing like Dynasty Warriors 9 per se, where it's like through open world, which didn't work out too well for the most part. But yeah, it seems like they've gotten it down. So I'm pretty pleased with it. So yeah, in terms of like story, side questing and all that, I think they done a good job for it. You know, obviously there can be slight improvements here and there, but for the most part, I think a lot of people did enjoy it. Now, moving on from the story, we're coming into the gameplay. So this is where I would say most people are a bit, I wouldn't say concerned, but they're more looking forward to seeing what it offers. Although I know Musu games, you know, usually get the typical stuff where it's just, you know, you beat up thousands upon of enemies, which is still the same here and there, but this is not open world like Dynasty Warriors 9, which we all know it didn't do a good job there. So essentially, they've just gone back to the roots of this one. I've enjoyed it for the most part. Now, depending on what difficult you're playing, you're going to find it very easy, or I wouldn't even say hard, but a bit challenging to an extent. So I did play on hard for a bit. I didn't find it too bad. So I know they did say enemies will be a lot more aggressive, and they were, because most of the times I was just getting knocked out of my combos 24/7. The timing for like perfect parries is a lot tighter as well. It's nothing too bad, but then when you've got plenty of enemies just hitting you around, it does become a bit tedious to like at least keep an eye on stuff. So you just have to keep an eye on that. Also, if you're blocking, they'll like deplete your bravery gauge as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a tight one on that one, but you know, if you're up for the challenge, you know, I think most people enjoy it. Now, in terms of weapons, you do have a variety of weapons, and so in the basically when you first run through the game, you will have 9 weapons that you can collect throughout the story. You'll get like 2 of them like very late into the game, and then when you go new game plus, you actually get a 10th weapon. I won't say which one it is, but you know, that's pretty much my go-to weapon now, because I actually find it very fun. Well, the styles, I would say that they're pretty good for the most part. I personally went with the spear and staff. Like, those are like my go-to weapons in any games for whatever reason. Like, that is like probably my favorite weapons, like, period. But in terms of like other weapons, the sword was alright, you know, pretty basic. You have the wheels. I wasn't too much of a fan of them, but I've seen what you can do with them, and you know, if you take some time to learn it, you can probably just shred through enemies. Podaya weapon was pretty decent as well. You also had the crescent blade. I didn't find that too interesting to use. And then yeah, literally, you probably go through all the weapons anyway because of the way the leveling system works. So essentially, if you want to get more stats and stuff, you have to raise the proficiency of a weapon. So you can't really just say I'm going to stick with one weapon throughout the whole game, because you're just going to pretty much limit yourself into like what you get. Obviously, you still get passive XP for the other weapons, but you probably won't get you don't get as much. So it's good to like just in turn here and there. Obviously, if you're say doing side missions and stuff, then that can help as well. But yeah, essentially everyone's just going to go through every weapon. But ideally, when you finish the game, you'll be at a level where you can say, okay, I'm just going to stick with this weapon and call it a day. Now, in terms of like character styles, they're more or less all the same. Obviously, depending on what weapon they're using. My only gripe is that you couldn't, say, use these characters more freely. Like, you essentially have to build a gauge and then use them for like probably like a minute or 2 at most, and then that's it. You have to go and build it again. I kind of wish that they actually allowed you to just use these characters. But obviously, going through story mode, you're gonna have to play through the main character. And I know some people had kind of their gripes about the main character's looks. Personally, me, I didn't really mind. I know some people might want to be playing as a female version, which they probably could have done, but I don't know why they didn't. They probably have to come out and say why not, and probably someone probably might mod it themselves. Who knows? But yeah, in terms of that, the gameplay was actually pretty fun. I actually enjoyed myself playing it. Musu games can easily get boring, right? But here, there's like slight level of depth, especially what you can do with the weapon stuff. Like you can actually do some pretty decent combos, which actually helped quite a bit on some of the boss fights as well. But yeah, for the most part, I actually think they nailed the gameplay. So the leveling system, I didn't mind it too much, but at the same time, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it that much. Like basically, the fact that I had to go and use other weapons to level up, and then obviously when you level up, you can gain like more skills, or like basically another skill tree. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's one way to like keep you engaged, to use different weapons and like to basically say, play the game longer if you really want to go 100% the whole game. With that being said about the gameplay, I do wish that there was a free mode in the game. So essentially, free mode is like where you can just do like a random mission. You can just play whatever character you want, and I think that would have been nice. Because there were characters that I actually did want to play, but I wouldn't say I never got the chance to. It's just that I didn't really see, the need at the time, or like when it came to like near enough the end of the mission, that is when the gauge just built up for them for me to like play them. But essentially, I kind of wish that, yeah, there was a free mode where you can just play any character you want regardless, and then just have fun with them. I'm not too sure why it wasn't added in this game. Essentially, this game for you can replay missions after you finish the game, through the story selection, and you can actually choose like different buddies to use here and there depending on which route you're on. But even then, that's still limited. So maybe in the future they can add it, but ideally, when you have these Musu games with a lot of characters, I do kind of wish that there was some sort of like free mode game where you can just play any of them and just do what you need to do. Now, with that being said, I'm just gonna wrap it up right now. So I did say this review won't take too long because there's not too much to talk about, and I don't really want to go like spoil the game and stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the game. It did have my moments here and there where it was getting a bit tedious. There were times where game, like, there were so many enemies on the screen, and like using certain moves, you could just see the frames just dying. But that's just to be expected of Musu games at this point. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I pleasantly surprised that Koei and Megaforce actually done a good job with this game, considering that Dynasty Warriors has been on the rocks for a while. A lot of people played the demo and it was quite positive reception. So I would say when you guys get the full game, you'll probably enjoy it a lot more. I would say going for the true roots, or true endings, I should say. They are not hard. They're pretty easy. Like hell, they even kind of like give you hints when you look at like the story. Like when you're in that camp, basically you can look at the story section and you can see where the path diverges, or tells you this character needs to be here or alive at this point in time. So you kind of have to go back and say, okay, where can I save this character or whatever, or at least in that route anyway. But besides the point, I think they've done a bang up job with the game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would actually recommend it for most people, especially like Dynasty Warriors fans. I know some of them are gonna be like, it's not the same as this one. Like I get it, PS2 days ones were like super solid. I don't really play them in PS3 days, or yeah, later on down the line, I'd say. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it. So if they can continue this with this like type of like level of gameplay, story and everything, can like improve on it as well, then honestly Dynasty Warriors is here to stay for a while. But yeah, that is my review done. Hopefully it kind of helps, gives you guys an idea of like how the game is and stuff. Again, thank you for Cody for sending me your code. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you didn't, you leave a dislike. Let me know down in the comments about any other stuff you might want to know, and I will see you guys later.